Mr. Smits, it's great to have you here on the sofa. It's tough times, although the mood is quite good here on the transport logistics. And well, how is the Port of Rotterdam doing and performing in these times?
Well, maybe first of all, as Dutch people, we do feel sorry for all the people who have troubles with the flooding here in Germany, which is quite a disaster, so to speak. So all our strengths and good wishes to the people who have now facing the trouble with the flooding and restoring, etc., etc. That's the first remark I'd like to make. And secondly, the Port of Rotterdam is doing quite well, stable, a little bit growth, and in general, the investment climate in the port is still very positive. So also investments are still continuing. And of course, maybe you come to that with the Maasvlakte 2 project. The first phase is finished, and the container terminals are now under construction. They will be opening November next year. So all is still according to plan, but of course the growth is lower than we thought a couple of years ago.
You just mentioned it, Maasvlakte 2. You kind of made the miracle happen that you even, well, doing the first phase of it being cheaper than estimated, 150 million euros. Please give us an advice here to the German audience how you did that. I mean,
well, that should take some more time, but I think in general, I said it in the Netherlands too during the ceremony, 2 reasons. First of all, if it's your own money, and I mean the money of the Port Authority, you're extra careful not to get cost overruns. Because I said a 20% cost overrun of that project, then half of my equity of the company is gone. And well, then I am gone too, so to speak. And secondly, for such project, you need from day first support with all the stakeholders, and we took care of that. And then freeze the project and have a very high quality project organization with contractors in teamwork to build it. That's the second reason why we were successful.
Now with the Maasvlakte 2 and other projects in the North Range, there's a huge amount of capacity coming into the market. You just mentioned that market growth has slowed down a bit. What does that mean? Can the market absorb all this capacity, or will there be overcapacity over a certain time?
I think that mostly in transport infrastructure, if you invest in new capacity, you have always a period of overcapacity. And that's not only because you invest for a very long term, like Maasvlakte 2, you do it for 50 or maybe 100 years. But secondly, transport infrastructure, you have always to do with peaks. You build it for peak capacity, because that's where transport is all about, to have logistics and to handle peaks. Because this year and also last year, even now already, sometimes we had peaks in the Port of Rotterdam, and we had to do all we can to handle that peak efficiently. So you need it. We are very happy that it's there next year, and then you can grow in it, but you have some years with some overcapacity. But that's what a port authority is for, to invest, to financially be able to have the burden of some overcapacity, because you know that you built it for a very long term, and then it's no problem.
Talking about capacity and peaks, I mean, there's 18,000 TEU ships coming into the market, well, next month actually, with the Maersk Triple E class ships. What does that mean for the ports? I mean, it's quite a challenge, I would guess.
It's quite a challenge, but we have the Maasvlakte 2 prepared for these big ships. So, well, we are of course a little bit nervous because it's the first time, but we are more nervous about the ceremony than handling the ships, because the area is completely suited for these kind of ships. No problem. And maybe I'd like to make another remark, that now we have the Maasvlakte 2, the first phase ready. We are now concentrating more and more on the internal logistics on the Maasvlakte 2 area, Maasvlakte 1 area, and the port itself, and the hinterland, because that's now becoming much more important to increase the efficiency of the internal logistic processes in the port and between the port and the hinterland. Therefore, we, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, we publish the inlet links, and that Contargo will team up with us so that we get a network of all inland terminals in Europe on the website with route planning. You know where the empty containers are, so that then you reduce the number of movements of containers between inlet terminals and the port of Rotterdam and vice versa.
Is that the real key for success? I mean, in the hinterland, or is it still the quayside, especially with these big ships?
No, I think that competition between seaports in Northwest Europe is competition about the hinterland. And if you do that very well, then you win the game.
How many terminals will you have in Germany now with the new deal with Contargo? I mean, I think you had 4 before. How many will it be now?
Well, there will be 11 inlet terminals in Germany, 4 in Swiss added. So the network step by step expands to roughly 50 inlet terminals. With that network then very good connected, so a forwarder can see, for instance, I have a container where I have to bring it tomorrow to Rotterdam, from that place to that place, I have to get it there, and it's all now on the web. And that's, I think, a very big improvement for the whole efficiency.
Can you name any further countries that are up on the map? I mean, I think you also invested in Poland, for example. Are there any other Eastern European countries in your focus?
Well, countries will hopefully join. So you have Poland, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Belgium, maybe France, I'm not sure. So every country where there are inlet terminals with connection to the port of Rotterdam can team up.
What do your competitors say to these steps? I mean, I know you have quite good relations to Jens Meyer of Hamburg Port,
sure.
And but I mean, you're really growing into the Hamburg, Bremerhaven hinterland as well. So.
Yeah, but that when I meet Jens Meyer, we have a very good personal relationship, and it's all about what I see as a sportive game. Of course, both you want to win. That's healthy competition with a level playing field. Then it's fun, because the best way to get inspiration is when you look outside your office and you see your competitor working and he do it a little bit better than you. That gives inspiration to do it the same way or better. And that's, I think, where economy and competition is all about. If there is a level playing field, that increases and stimulates economy, activities, jobs, etc.
Competition is the one side. On the other hand, I mean, all ports in Europe have a united interest in certain things. And then talking about the plans on the European basis, the so-called port package. You already made some quite upfront remarks. Maybe you could repeat them. What's your impression about the things planned in Brussels?
Well, we were quite disappointed, to be honest, that the European Commission cares about European matters. For instance, have LNG standards for the inland shipping, not change locks on the rails trespassing boundaries. That's fine, no problem. They should concentrate on it. And if you want to have more transparency, for instance, within ports, you always have to look for regulations which do not increase the bureaucracy. And the proposals by Commissioner Kallas increase bureaucracy, which is not good. And there are much more efficient ways to gain and to realize the same goals. So I've told him that, I've told his civil servants, and I hope that we can convince him to do it another way. Otherwise, I think a lot of ports, but I don't think ports alone, will say no to his proposals.
Well, thanks a lot for this little information on your views on the market, on the political surroundings and everything. Thanks a lot, and have some good days here in Munich. Thank you.
Thank you.